That's right. Fail big. You only live once. So do what you feel passionate about. Take chances professionally. Don't be afraid to fail. There's an old IQ test, was 9 dots, and you had to draw 5 lines with a pencil within these 9 dots without lifting the pencil. The only way to do it was to go outside the box. So don't be afraid to go outside the box. Don't be afraid to think outside the box. Don't be afraid to fail big, to dream big. But remember, dreams without goals are just dreams, and they ultimately fuel disappointment.
A Philippine podcast show dedicated to help you thrive for greatness.
This guy is phenomenally passionate about what he does.
How freaking amazing Jameer is. So skilled and so qualified, and I highly recommend him.
Without a doubt, the best funnel builder I've ever come across.
Yeah, really into the detail, and cannot recommend him highly enough.
Not only was efficient and fast, but he understood the project.
The person who built our entire funnel from beginning to end and has been with us since day one is Jameer.
Nothing But Up, the podcast. With your host, Jameer Angelo.
I'm always flexing.
Hey guys, welcome to the podcast. This is Jameer Angelo, your host for Nothing But Up, the podcast, and you're tuned in today to episode number 24. And I'm coming to you live here from my simple home office in the province of South Cotabato, as always. And again, guys, I'm just really excited to get on the show today. This is truly because we have a very special guest who's going to be joining us later in today's show. We'll have Alex Pedron, the co-host of the podcast show Stories After Swipe Right. And I'm really getting a good feeling and vibe about this episode. And it's kind of cool to get, a different perspective again about, the topic today. And we'll try and pick Alex, brain on today's show. And of course, try to get, some of his real-time experiences maybe about how to, think and go outside the box. And what are his thoughts also about failing big. So I think before we kind of go through what this podcast episode is really all about, and that is to, discuss about, the chosen topic on today's episode. Firstly, I would just like to give my sincerest shout outs to everybody that has followed me and followed the show strongly. It's been like over 5 months now that we are on air. And, I'm very much overwhelmed with the amount of support I'm getting from all of you. I also had the luxury of time to go through our stats and analytics earlier today. And I was like kind of blown upon seeing that people are tuned in to almost 18 countries right now across the globe. And we're kind of like getting a very positive number of having about over 10,000 downloads across all podcasting platforms. So once again, I thank you so much, guys. Appreciate you for your ever-dearing and overwhelming support, if that is the correct term. So anyway, if you just came across a podcast episode right now, it's never too late, guys. You can always follow us on Spotify, of course. Check us out at Nothing But Up, the podcast. We are also available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Podplay, Radio Republic. And if you're somewhat visual, you can also check us out on our YouTube channel. That is Funnel Expert PH. And of course, on my Facebook account, that's Funnel Expert PH. So yeah, once again, guys, appreciate you for all the love that you've shared and shown. And then secondly, I'm not sure if everyone knows this, but if not, well, it's actually my birthday week, and I'm really having a good time here. So to everybody who has messaged me, emailed me, texted, and called me up, thank you so much once again for the birthday greetings. Yeah, this dude right here is not getting any younger. I know that. So you need not to ask about my age. I take full offense if you're going to be asking me about that. But no, kidding aside, again, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for supporting me, for supporting your show, and for loving what I'm trying to put out there. And yeah, and maybe let's try and dive right in to today's podcast topic. And today, if you're gonna try and go back a little bit, maybe rewind at the very start of this podcast episode, we have a short snippet from Denzel Washington, who actually talked about failing big, and going outside the box. Now, this topic is somewhat very personal to me. It is because maybe one of the best things or description I can probably say is that literally half of my life was a total wreck. Yes, I was really, really a failure. And not just a failure when it comes to career, but so many stuff that are very, very personal to me. And this could, those are, with my relationship, with me being a father, with me being a provider, a complete failure of being a good son, and not being the best version as I could be. Again, half of my life. And this topic, when it came across this, maybe about a few months ago, I was really meaning to get someone that could probably in the sense that could somehow resonate to what I'm actually feeling about the topic. And then we're just so lucky to have Alex, to be on our show today. I'm pretty much intrigued as well with perhaps the failures that he has endured over and tried and literally led him to where he is at the moment. And I couldn't speak of himself, but definitely it's one of the cool things that we can probably talk about later in our show. But guys, I mean, if you're tuned in right now and you're somewhat close to me, then definitely you'd be able to understand my real personality, how emotional I could be, and how much I value every single inch of negative and positive situation that comes to my life. And this statement really comes true to itself, because I don't know about you guys, but if I failed big, literally. And if I can cite an example, I think one of the biggest turnaround ever in my entire life was probably with my career. It's because when I was growing up, I know that I felt like that I had the potential. With all honesty, I was very promising when I was still studying way back in high school, elementary days. But right when I hit college, that's where all the craziness kicked in. Now, I'm not blaming all my friends during those times, or maybe the people that I was kind of like associated with when I was in college. And I could probably say that it was with the terrible and bad decisions I made with my life. So to cut things short, I wasn't able to finish college as much as I hoped so. I did study AB journalism in the University of the Visayas in Cebu. Yeah, I know for the fact that it's probably one of the biggest frustrations I have, not having to push through college, not having to graduate. And again, that was the biggest turnaround, and the biggest ever failure I came across, with my life. But even if it was the biggest failure I experienced, I never looked back, actually. And although there were some regrets, yes, there were some frustrations along the way. And possibly I was kind of like blaming a couple of people why I wasn't able to achieve or really want to achieve during those times. But it was kind of late to actually point some fingers, because again, at the end of the day, it was me who decided my destiny. So yeah, I failed big. I literally took it as a big challenge over myself, because years past, or I mean years back, if you haven't graduated college, it's going to be a real struggle for you to land a job. And it was kind of like pretty blessed that I was able to come across the BPO industry, having to work as a call center representative. At least I was able to hone my skills, and I was able to earn, a bit higher, or a tad bit higher than I was actually earning during those times. Now, because I wasn't able to, push through college, I was only limited to, a couple of job opportunities that our province or a city could actually offer me. And yeah, since I was from Cebu, so literally I had to work myself in and try to find, a job that I feel that I could do. And because I lost my confidence way back there, literally. So the only thing that I can probably think of is to try and land a job for fast food companies. So I spent 4 freaking years working for 2 different fast food companies back in Cebu. I was a dining crew for all 2 of it. And then I was like kind of earning around 22 pesos and 50 cents per hour during those times. And I was just, I think, pretty lucky that, meals were kind of like provided for, the crew. So I had no issue when it comes to, having something to eat during my working days back there. But it was definitely a struggle, because at the young age of 18, I had my first daughter during that time. So, at a very young age, I had no other, means on how I can probably, support my daughter, support the family, support for whatever needs that is necessary to, bring up a child in this world. So it was one heck of a struggle. And then because of that, 4 years after that, I then moved on and became a security guard, working for different security agencies back in Cebu. I actually had a fun time, to be honest with you. Although the pay was pretty low, but experience-wise, it actually I gained so much from that experience. So I used to work in guarded a company back in Liloan. It was if I'm not mistaken, it was a fabrication company, producing fiberglasses, those type of companies. So I used to work there. And I kind of had this funny story before. You see, being a security guard, earning around 4,500 pesos monthly it is a no-brainer that somehow you're gonna come to a point that you're gonna be, you'll fell short with your expenses. Now there was this one time when, our boss, because it was like kind of compound where the my boss's house is within the compound, and then a few kilometers away is where the building where they actually fabricate the fiberglass, and that's where the work is being done, right? So it's inside one compound. And during that day, I was kind of like assigned at the front gate where it covers both the my boss's house and the fabrication building. So I was just like sitting in there, and then my boss came to me and then said, "Hey, dude, we're gonna be going abroad. We're going to Hong Kong for about a week. So I want you to be in charge in guarding the house primarily, and get the other security guard to focus on the manufacturing, you know, side or section of the compound." So of course, what I did, solely focus on the house, kind of like roaming all over the place, going to, the front gate, checking stuff out. Because, during those days, CCTV cameras wasn't invented. So there has to be a security guard on board. However, I think that was mid-week during that time when, my buddy and I, the co-security guard, I was, kind of like, spreading the duty work around, was there. We were kind of, we were certainly short of food, right? We got no money to feed ourselves. So, considering that I have access to, my boss's house during that time, I was able to go to the kitchen, check out their, refrigerator, kind of like went through their canned goods because I was really starving, man. I was really starving, desperately looking for food. So, as crazy as this may sound, I went there, got the food, cooked it, and we ate it, right? But when my boss came, and then obviously, they kind of like noticed that their stocks were kind of like, being utilized. And they know for sure that it was me because I was the only person there. And then, all hell break loose. The boss approached me. He was so freaking mad as to why I did that. And then, of course, having a very strong personality like myself, I was kind of like telling him that, hey, I know it is my fault. Please don't take the other security guard to blame for what happened. I was just really, really starving. I needed food. And then, of course, without your permission, and there's just no way I could ask for permission because during that time, cell phones wasn't even invented yet. I don't even know how to operate a computer during those times. I couldn't email him or whatever. So I had to do what I got to do because I was really starving. So the dude, to cut things short, the dude terminated me. So I moved out, applied for a different security agency. Again, there's still another funny story about this. I guarded a bank in Karkar City. So shout out to everybody in Karkar City in Cebu. So I was just kind of like posted there for maybe about 2 days. Because the funny thing was when I worked there, the manager approached me and at 6 a.m, I was on full uniform now, having to carry my shotgun, and I was on alarm because again I'm guarding the bank, a very huge responsibility to take. And I know my fellow security guards could probably relate to this. So the boss or the manager asked me to sweep, the floor. And I was like, ma'am, I'm really sorry, but I have to pass. If you want me to sweep the floor, no one's going to be guarding us anymore. And then, of course, he said, how come the other guards are doing that? And of course, I said, I'm sorry, but I can't. I don't want to take, I don't take offense to what you're saying. Is what I told her. But it is my obligation and my duty to guard the guard the bank, and not to sweep the floors. 2 days after that, I got terminated, and then moved on, jumped onto another, post, and then guarded an entire building for roughly about 4 floors, and then guarded there for maybe about 10 days, and I can vividly remember that was Sunday. That was when there's nobody, literally no one is with me. No one was there. I was just left all alone. Worked from 6 in the morning, and then at around 12 in the afternoon or 2 in the afternoon, I decided to quit. Yes, I pulled the trigger, decided to quit because I don't want to guard anymore. Because I know I could do much better. I could do much better for my life, for my family. And then, that's what I did. So I think, I'm just sharing this over. It's because if you're someone so desperate and you're tuned into this podcast episode right now, never be afraid to fail, regardless of how big your failure is. Because again, at the end of the day, something positive will come your way, right? It's just really a matter of, knowing when is a perfect time, and then maybe, understanding when to pull the trigger and when to decide. For myself, I think I could say that I really went outside the box. Right, because if I stay stuck to where I was at, then I wasn't able to, achieve what I have already achieved right now. And fast forward, and again, modesty aside, guys, from me earning 22 pesos and 50 cents hourly as a fast food crew for 4 years in total, and having to work for 2 years as a security guard, only earning 4,500 pesos a day, I wouldn't able to achieve what I have achieved now. And I think, it's just a real blessing for me that I was able to go through all of that. And and I think that is probably your takeaway, at least coming from me, that if you're too scared to try, remove that from your thinking. Because again, if you're going to be, stuck to where you are now and you won't be able to find a way to scale, chances are that is already a failure, right? You need not to remain stagnant. And as cliche as this may sound, change is the only constant thing in this world. So never afraid to change. Never be afraid to fail. And always, as always, think and go outside the box. You might never know. The answer is just literally outside your comfort zone. So if you step outside, then that's one heck of a risk. Yes, that's true. There is a tendency that you would fail. Again, that is true. But you will never know if you will succeed unless you try. Okay? So again, guys, appreciate you so much for your love and support. Again, this episode is so personal to me. And that's just one of the stories I can probably share with you over that for me exactly represents the topic that we have on today's show. So guys, later on the show, we will go and introduce Alex Pedron, the co-host of the podcast show Stories After Swipe Right. And before we do that, let's try and hear a quick word from our sponsor.
As they say, food takes people to places. So during these crazy times, one can take his taste buds on a trip to Western Visayas by trying out one of its specialties. If you've ever been to Negros Occidental, you may have already tried its famous comfort food, Cansi. It's a dish made with slow-cooked beef shanks in deep sour broth soup. Bacolod City is particularly famous for Cansi. It's an iconic Ilonggo dish that is now available in Cebu. Good news for Cebuanos. You can now indulge with a bowl or two of Cansi in Cebu. Introducing Cole's Cansi. Located in the heart of Cebu. Open to serve you daily. To order, visit and message them on Facebook. Satisfy your craving and relieve that stress away. Cole's Cansi, an iconic Ilonggo dish that is now available in Cebu.
I'm always flexing.
Yo, welcome back to the show. This is Nothing But Up the Podcast, episode number 24. And guys, so excited for today's episode. It's kind of like cool to get, another perspective from the topic that we chose on today's episode. And without further ado, let's try and get him on our show today. Well, Alex is a bootstrapped startup veteran with a healthy dissatisfaction with the status quo. He is also renowned for his Maverick methods in business development, in sales, and motivating others. Alex's magnificent obsession is to enable progress for passionate professionals and business owners around the globe. Guys, he is also the co-founder and the co-host of the podcast show, Stories After Swipe Right. Ladies and gentlemen, let's all give it up for Mr. Alex Pedron. Welcome to the show, brother. Appreciate you for coming.
Thank you, Jameer. I really appreciate you and your podcast, Nothing But Up. I hope to be able to serve your listeners today to enable progress for them. That's what I'm here for. Super excited to begin our topic. When you told me about the topic that we were going to talk about, it just became so personal for me. So I'm ready. I'm ready to make it rain out there with you, bro. Let's do this.
Awesome. And again, I couldn't thank you enough, man. Appreciate you for hanging with us today. And bro, before we somehow begin and officially kick things off, anyone you would want to greet right now, that might be tuned in to our show?
Absolutely. I think the last person you had on your show was my fiance.
Right?
Yeah, so she gave me a shout out. I'm just going to give her a shout out right back. Shout out to my fiance, M. I love you. You're the best. We got this. Thank you. There you go. That's all, man.
Right back at you, M. Hope you're listening to it right now. So, awesome. It's been really phenomenal to have both of you guys finally on my show. But, as you said, Alex, if this podcast topic I picked came too personal for you, it is somewhat very personal on my end too, man. So I really couldn't wait, crushing this episode with you. So, brother, I'm really sorry, but if this might sound a little bit too intimate for you, just tell me, okay? But
for sure.
What do you consider, bro, as your biggest failure, and how were you able to overcome it and overcome that failure, bro?
Okay, great question. I actually consider a lot of things as my biggest failure, but one that I'm extremely willing to share and tell a story on is when I first started as a full-time entrepreneur. What is it, 2021? I think it was 5.5 to 6 years ago when I started. And my biggest failure was not starting earlier. Because I'm enjoying my life right now as an entrepreneur, as a full-time entrepreneur. I'm learning so much, gaining so much, and meeting all these awesome people, including you, Jameer, But Up podcast, right? And I'm like, why didn't I do this earlier? So when I realized that that was one of the driving factors that actually moved me into taking action. So how I overcame that failure was really just taking action. And as Tony Robbins, and I'm sure you and a lot of your listeners are familiar with Tony Robbins, take a massive action. So can I quickly tell a story, if that's all good with you, in light
all
of
good, man, all
question?
good, man. I mean, I really wanna pick your brain with that, because it could really help tons of people, man.
It's a really crazy question, and a lot of people, for some people, the answer can be simple, the answer can be complex, but for me, whenever I'm asked that question, and just for quick insight for everyone that's listening or tuned in now, Jameer actually wanted to send the questions beforehand. And I'm like, no, man, catch me by surprise. I want the feeling raw. So right now, this is all impromptu. This is all improvised, but it's all heart right now. So I'm about to spill my heart to all of y'all, if that's all good. Okay.
That's why I'm loving it, man. That's why I'm loving it.
For sure. So 5 years ago, 2016, is when I started my entrepreneurship journey. I used to work at a business process outsourcing company, multiple business process outsourcing companies, but unlike other people, I highly respect my past. I highly respected that role as a call center agent. I highly respected the role, 9 to 5 or 9 to 6. Yeah, highly, because you meet a lot of people out there and they're like, I used to work as this. I was a call center agent, blah, 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 blah. It sucked. It was toxic. But I'm like, yo, man, I'm going to call you out there. So that means you didn't learn jack shit then. That's exactly what you're just saying. Right? Because everything that I'm applying right now, almost everything that I'm applying right now, entrepreneurship journey, is everything that I've learned from corporate. And the people that I actually serve right now are corporate professionals. So if there's one thing that y'all might have learned in your corporate journey before, was don't talk shit about your previous employer. Number fucking one. Right? So
love that, bro.
I want to start off with that, my man. Highly respect the industry. There's so much things that I have learned in that business process outsourcing industry that I continue to bring with me today. So I was a BPO agent for quite some time. I think also 5 to 6 years in the collections account. So collections.
That must have been very tough, man.
Yeah, it was a little bit tough, but I know you're a sales guy too, right, Jameer? So collection is kind of synonymous with sales.
Yeah,
the only difference is that you don't actually persuade your prospects to give you money. There's no persuasive process. They have to pay you. Otherwise, put them in a delinquent account, and then debt collectors will go after them. So you have that power, right? So I was the person that you didn't want to talk to on the other end of the fucking line. I was that person, and it was pretty cool, But at the same time, because one thing that most people don't know about me is that I love to travel. Specifically,
Same shit here.
Specifically, I love mountaineering, man. I love hiking. Love to travel. Love being around nature and just taking it all in. Beautiful views, beautiful sights, and there's so much mountains that you can actually traverse in the Philippine Islands. So what I did was, as a BPO agent, Monday to Friday, my schedule would be, if I can remember correctly, I think it was 11 p.m. to 8 a.m. And then my rest days would be on Saturday, Sunday. So every RD or every rest day, I would go straight to the bus station, hop on a bus, go to the province, and hike a mountain. No sleep, just go straight there, bask myself in nature. And I did that for quite some time, juggling between my career as a collections agent in a BPO and what I love to do as a mountaineer. And then one day I woke up lying on my bed. The window was open. Sun was on my fucking face. God was probably talking to me. But I had an epiphany. And I was like, okay, I love to travel. I love to hike mountains. I love nature. And the main question I asked myself was, why am I not doing this professionally?
Yeah.
So, so that pretty much changed everything. It changed.
It hit you so hard, then, man.
So extremely hard. It hitting me is an understatement. It probably threw a brick at me. It was such an epiphany, such a realization, and I was so drawn to it that I actually resigned from my role in the BPO. So I resigned, rendered my 30 days, and I was like, okay, what do I need to do to start? So I was already a pretty established mountaineer, meaning to say I already had the gear, I already had the itineraries, memorized a few trails. So my mission back then became bridging the gap between man and nature. Nice. That became my mission. So I was like, okay, how do I go about doing that? And I went on Facebook, and I joined a group called DIY Travel Philippines. Some of your listeners might be familiar. It's a pretty famous group. Sure, yeah. I think there are hundreds of thousands of members now. But before that number became hundreds of thousands, I was part of that group when it was like 20, 50,000 or something like that.
Yeah, when it was starting out.
Yeah, and I saw in the group that people were kind of like promoting travel events, like public travel events that they can join, and then y'all could just, travel together or hike mountains together or what have you. So that further drew me in. Okay, so I could, try this business model. And then why don't I try creating my own event and then setting up the itinerary, setting up what everyone would need within the event, and also be able to join the event, guide them up and down the mountain. We go out to eat or what have you, all that fun stuff, right? Yeah, so I did that. Okay, I did all the social media, I did all the sales, all the marketing. One-man business is what I did. Fast forward to like a few months later, finally I get a client. Finally, some people want to join my event, and that was specifically in Tarac Ridge, Mount Mariveles, Bataan, Philippines, which is my favorite mountain. Yeah, nice. So I was like, two people wanted to join that event. So I was like, okay, cool. 2 people. So I want to take care of these 2 people. Okay, they joined the event. We hiked the mountain. It was great. Fast forward a few more months later, I started getting 10 clients, 15, nice. 20, 25, 30. I think my max was anywhere between 30 to 40 people. That's when I had to start hiring other people to help me out. So I was living the life, man. I was, to cut the story short, but I was living the life. I was doing what I love. For further emphasis, I was a full-time mountaineer, right? And I was doing it professionally. I was hiking 4 times a week. 4 times a week, man. So 3-day hikes on the weekday, and then 1 overnight hike on the weekend.
Damn, that's crazy, man.
I was just living it. I was super fit. I look fucking sexy. I was making money. I was making a lot of money. I was just living it. And that went on That went on for, I think it was like almost 2 years. Nice. And then on my birthday, which is on April 22, I decided to do a birthday hike. So my birthday hike was in Mount Pinatubo, right, in Pampanga. So there are 2 ways to go about reaching the crater of Mount Pinatubo. One way is where you ride those, what do you call that? Those rollers. I forget.
ATVs, maybe?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, exactly. That's one way to do it. The second way, there's a way called the Mountaineer's Way. It's a 50-kilometer traverse. right? You go in from an entrance, and then you exit out in a different, what we call barangay, or a different area, right? So we did that, okay? And if you take the roller or the ATV, you end up at the bottom of the crater, which is where the lake is. If you take the Mountaineers Way, you end up at the summit crater, at the top of the crater, overlooking the lake. Right. So it's that piece of information is particularly important, which is why I explained it. So went on that for my birthday hike. Went with a few close friends. I think there was like 8 of us or 10 of us, and we wanted to complete the 50-kilometer traverse within 2 days. Usually people would complete that 3 or 4 days. We wanted to complete it within 2 days. Right? So all is fucking crazy. First day, did the hike, walk, finally got to the campsite, slept, and before we actually woke up, I tend to wake up pretty early. So it rained, man. It rained.
Did it rain pretty hard?
It rained pretty hard. Exactly. Yeah, it rained pretty hard before the actual alarm set off, waking everyone up. So the rain kind of woke me up, and I was like, "Whoa, okay, let's do it anyway." Right. So the second day was when we were supposed to go to the summit crater. Now that morning, we were fast forward a little bit. That morning, we were already on our way to the summit crater of Mount Pinatubo. And since it rained, the trail was a little bit slippery, obviously, right? Because it rained. So it was like the trail going up Mount Pinatubo, Summit Crater, if I can remember correctly, it was like a 70-degree or 75-degree incline, or if not more. So what happened was, as I was making my way up to the Summit Crater, I slipped.
Damn.
So now my right knee, I slipped, and my right knee fell, knee first, I guess is what it's called, on a flat rock.
Damn.
And it fucked me up pretty good, man. It fucked me up pretty good. We had a lot of kilometers left, and I didn't have the budget to facilitate a helicopter rescue. Because that shit will cost $50 grand.
How fucking serious was the injury, bro? Was it an ACL, tear, or
I'll get to that later, because I didn't actually get myself checked up. I was so afraid to go to the doctor.
Come on, man.
Yeah, man. But I did get a checkup. I went to a clinic and inform the people there that, hey, man, I'm feeling something in my knee, and blah blah blah. Right?
Just trying to go back to your story, bro. When that fucking thing happened, and since you mentioned that you can't afford to get a rescue with a helicopter and stuff like that, what happened next, bro?
So what happened next was probably the most excruciating time of my life, because I had to soldier up the rest of the way. I had to walk. My right knee was extremely painful. There was nothing I could do about it. I just wrapped a bandage around it, and that was it. I walked the rest of the kilometers. It was an extremely slow, extremely painful walk that I would not wish for anyone I know to suffer. And finally got at the exit point. Washed up, took the bus ride home, and the following morning, I went to a clinic.
Yeah.
And talked to some nurses, talked to a doctor. So they were checking out my knee, and doctor was massaging and all that stuff. It was extremely painful.
Yeah.
And so doc was like, "What do you do? What do you do for a living? How'd you get this injury?" So I was like, "Well, I'm a pretty hardcore guy, I'm a hike mountains for a living, and I do it at least 4 times." So, long story short, or long appointment short, the following day, doctor called me and she was like, Alex, if you hike another mountain, there's a possibility that you won't be able to walk again.
Damn.
And so I want y'all to remember that as a pinnacle moment, because just right now am I about to really answer Jameer's question, what my biggest failure is. So leading up to that answer, this is the story. Right? Okay. So quick backstory. So yeah, man, after the doc told me the sad news, I fell into a deep depression, bro. I mean, it was like, I felt like I lost a limb. It's like someone would tell you the following day, like, yo, Jameer, if you do another podcast, you might lose your voice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I lost an extension of me. I lost an extension of me that I was too afraid to gamble on. Obviously, like I said earlier, this is a one-man business, no staff, no assistants, helpers, no one to take my place. So pretty much, there was no one to manage the business. Therefore, I had to shut it down. So I didn't know what to do.
You were left with no choice, actually, bro.
Exactly. So I didn't know what to do. Didn't know who else to work with the same passion that I had for my business, right? That time. So yeah, man, I fell into a deep depression, was burning through my savings really quick because I wasn't making any money. My then significant other had broken it off with her because I was just being a hermit, man. I didn't care about anything or anybody. I was just wallowing in my own depression, wallowing in my own despair.
Yeah.
You know, and it was just a numb feeling. That's how I remember it. Like, I was really apathetic. I about shit. You know what I mean? Nothing was good or bad. I was just like stuck in limbo. I didn't give a shit at all. And I was in that said state for like a good 8-9 months. Where finally I was completely broke. I was completely out of my mind. Everyone, my friends, the people that were dear to me, were leaving me one by one because I was such a toxic human being that time. It was fucked up, right? And then I was on my phone and I was watching whatever fucking YouTube video I was watching, but an ad came up. So the ad had a speaker talking to thousands of people, right? And the speaker was talking about bouncing back from adversity, bouncing back from depression, navigating stress, motivation, inspiration, and all that beautiful stuff. That speaker in that ad was Tony Robbins.
Yeah, the guy.
That speaker in that ad was Tony Robbins, man. And I think it was one of his famous seminars. I'm not sure if it was Firewalk or Date with Destiny, but the ad showed that he was in Singapore. He was probably talking to tens of thousands of people. And suddenly I had another epiphany. I don't know, maybe it was God talking to me again, that same fucking ray of sunshine on me, window open and all that. And I asked myself another question, or rather not ask myself another question, but made a statement to myself. I was like, I want to do that. I want to, I can do that. I can talk to tens of thousands of people about bouncing back from depression, bouncing back from adversity, navigating your stress, motivating you. I can fucking do that. So once again, I was drawn in to another passion, another mission, which of course then became, my mission was to enable progress before the mission statement was enable progress to those who felt stressed, depressed, who literally was going through some mental health shit. That was the mission before. But the blueprint is the same, enabling progress. So, all right, I was like, what are my next steps now? Okay, so I'm broke. I'm broke. I'm ugly. I need a haircut. I stink. Nobody loves me. So I was fucking probably a little bit malnourished at that time because I wasn't taking care of myself. I wasn't going out. First thing I needed to do was get a fucking job. So I had to fucking light a fire under my ass and be like, yo, you got to get a fucking job, man. You need money.
Pull yourself together.
Exactly, man. You got to get your shit together. So went back to the BPO as a collections agent. And I worked for a particularly good company. My God, man, that was a good company. Wells Fargo.
Nice.
Yeah, it was a good company. Great benefits, great pay. So now I had a decision. I've never been paid so much in my life. BPO standards, and I had all these benefits, but I guess what I'm gonna call my internal GPS, that shit was just screaming, what the fuck are you doing? Like, what are you still doing here? You got the money you need. Let's enable fucking progress.
Yeah.
Now, what are you doing? Okay, what are you comfortable for? Wearing those golden handcuffs and shit. So, with that being said, I was like, okay. I'm gonna follow that internal GPS, follow that little voice in me, and be like, okay, it's right. What am I doing? My main purpose was just to save up enough to get my shit together, have a little bit of money on the side, so I could start something.
Yeah.
Make something out of myself, right? From nothing to something, right? So I resigned again. I think it was just I think upon regularization.
Damn.
I fucking resigned. If I remember correctly, it's been a while, but I think it was upon regularization. I also had resigned. My manager was fucking pissed.
Of course, who wouldn't, man?
She was pissed. So yeah, but that, you know, I had to give her the bullet, man. I can't do this anymore because this is what I want to do. Ran there to 30 days, got my back pay. So my back pay was like, I think it was like anywhere between 20 to 30 grand. And then, so my plan was, okay, let me pay all my bills first. Let me take care of my needs first, groceries and shit, rent and shit.
Okay.
Right. So, did all of that, and what was left was like 10 grand, if not less. Right.
Yeah.
What was like 10 grand? If you didn't know, I also have a daughter. She's turning 10 years old this year. So I also obviously had to give some funds to her and all of that. Not that I'm complaining, but you know, it was just an obligation. I had to do that.
For real, yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So had to do that. And what was left was fucking like 10 grand or less. So like, okay, I got this. What am I gonna do? So I call myself a bootstrapped entrepreneur because I started in entrepreneurship with no seed funders, no investors, pretty much just the fucking 10 grand that I had in my pocket.
Yeah, which was left in you.
Yeah, you know, it was like $200, if not less than that.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, how do I start? Now, so I'm gonna answer your question right now. Really answer your question. One of my biggest failures was not starting earlier because I had so much insecurities about myself. So much fucking insecurities about myself, and that paralyzed me. So I began researching. I began researching some speakers, trainers, people out there who were speaking in front, public speakers, trainers, whatever. And they were just so fucking good.
Yeah.
They could like talk, move you, and turn your eyes into fucking light bulbs like that. They were just so good. They got all these letters after their fucking names. I didn't graduate from college, so ain't no fucking letter after my name. You know what I mean?
Dude, same shit here, man. Same shit here. College dropout, man.
So I was so insecure. They had money. They had fucking money. People believed in them. They had all these followers in social media. And here goes fucking Alex Pedron, 10,000 pesos. Doesn't know what the fuck to do. So what I did was, I need a mentor. I need someone to teach me. Because I have no... So remember my experience, man. Collections, BPO, and travel. I know shit about public speaking. I don't know shit about motivating people. Didn't even know what the fuck motivation probably meant that time. Diba? So, I'm like, what the hell? Okay. And then what I did was go on LinkedIn.
Cool place to be, man.
Are you familiar? Obviously, you're familiar with LinkedIn, with what you do.
For sure. Yeah.
Right? Created a profile, and I messaged. Well, before I messaged, I started adding people internationally. I just added the people who were doing what I want to do. Public speaking, training.
Try to broaden your connections and network.
Exactly. And I was able to accumulate, was it anywhere between 1,500 to 2,000 LinkedIn connections internationally. And what I did was I created like a draft, letting the people know that this is where I'm at, this is how much money I got, and this is what I would like to be mentored on, if you're willing to do that, or can you lead me or point me to a direction where I can learn more about the speaking industry, coaching industry, training industry, right? I messaged 500 people, like literally 500 people, until LinkedIn finally probably caught my algorithm and they were like, this motherfucker's spamming, man. Let's ban him from, you know what I mean? So yeah, I couldn't message the entire 1,500 to 2,000 connections, but I did message 500 people, literally 500 people. So I think it was like half or less than half who responded to me. They're like, "Oh, cool. This is what you got to do. Oh, cool. This is who you got to talk to. This is what you got to read. This is what you got to research." Blah blah blah. All of that. I say blah 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 because although it was insightful, it was nothing concrete. I couldn't sustain it. I wasn't making any money, man. So, every day, obviously, I had to eat. My savings of 10,000 were, getting $100-200 every day subtracted from the initial amount. You know what I mean? So what happened was I got a little bit more aggressive in my messaging when finally LinkedIn allowed me to message again. I think it was 2 weeks later. After the spam, they give you like, you can't send any more messages until these 2 weeks of probation are over or something like that. Okay, can I meet with you? So I started going local. Can I meet with you? And messaged a bunch of people, and they were like, "Yeah, sure, let's talk about it. I have time to talk to you for 30 minutes. I got time to talk to you for an hour. Short sessions over lunch." And I had to pay for that fucking lunch. So for sure, man. Yeah, man, obviously, right? So I had to pay for that. So take note, 10 grand. All right. I don't know how much it was that time after everything, but obviously less than that. So started meeting with people. Then I got in touch with a group in LinkedIn called LinkedIn Local. So LinkedIn Local is a group of LinkedIn enthusiasts, professionals, entrepreneurs, business owners, freelancers, what have you, who get together and just talk about stuff that's LinkedIn or stuff that's innovation, entrepreneurship, business, or work. And I was able to meet so much people. In fact, I met with 50 people. And I know that number is 50 because during the event, I volunteered to register the attendees.
Okay.
49 people attended. So I met with 49 people. They helped me out. Okay, this and that. But once again, nothing concrete, nothing solid, nothing sustainable. The 50th person I met him at a place near me. It was a Krispy Kreme donut shop, or what is it, Krispy Kreme cafe or something like that. I was like, okay, figured it was just gonna be another meeting. but bought 2 coffees, 2 donuts, and shit, and was just waiting for the guy to show up. And so he showed up, and it was just different. This guy was just different. Walked differently, talked differently, behaved differently. His name is JC Santos, not the actor. There's an actor, JC Santos. But JC Santos is now one of my mentors and, of course, best friends. Yeah. But he walked in that room. I didn't know him that time. And there was just something different about this guy. I was like, okay, so what's up? So we do the meeting. We talk. And I'm like, once again, this is what I want to do. This is who I want to become. Can you help me? And all of a sudden, this motherfucker goes, yes. No one has ever said that to me, man. No one has ever said, like, literally just answered with a simple yes. Everyone would say, this is what you got to do, or would give me other forms
lead
of
you to something. Yeah.
I got a lot of no's as well, obviously. But this fucker said yes. So I was like, okay, so I wasn't used to that. I was like, okay, what do you mean? How? How are we gonna do it? What do we do? Where do we go? So he's like, I believe in you. That's also the first time someone said that to me. I believe in you. I believe in your mission. I believe in what you want to do, who you want to become, and I want to help you. So this is what we're gonna do. I want you to franchise my company, and I want you to franchise it for free. So I'm not going to charge you any franchise fees. But I want you to get the other fees. I want you to accumulate the other things that you need to start this franchise. So obviously, if you start a business, especially if it's a franchise, you don't have, it's not just the franchise fee you're paying for. You got to pay for the office. You got to pay for staff. You got to pay for a bunch of other shit, right? Equipment and all of that, man. Rent, all that, right? So I had to accumulate that. How I accumulated it up to now, I don't know how I fucking did it, but it was a lot of racketeering. It was a lot of borrowing
side
money.
hustles.
Yeah, man. It was a lot of that. So, finally, I was able to accumulate the amount needed to start, get the franchise rolling. And the franchise is situated in Ortigas in Pasig City.
Pasig City,
so it's the city where I live in the Philippines, right? And I was like, okay, got scouted for an office, bought a little bit of equipment. Now, the nature of the business is training. Specifically teaching people how to communicate in English and also building their confidence. So the 2 things we were selling was English and confidence. Okay. So with that in mind, I built the office, built this, built that. And then what happened was, just because, and this is for your listeners out there, just because you got everything all set up, just because you got, you got your funds, you got everything good to go, you got an office, you got a franchise license, or you got a business started, that doesn't mean that automatically you're gonna lift off the fucking ground.
Correct, man. I agree to that.
So why can I attest to that? I did not close my first sale until after 9 fucking months, man.
Oh shit! How did you fucking sustain that, bro?
So here's the story, man. We're still on the topic of failures, right? So I don't know if other people can consider this a failure. I definitely considered it a failure before because I felt like a loser. Yeah, I had a business, but I felt like a loser. I'm now in this situation where, okay, I'm slowly becoming a better public speaker, trainer, coach. But I had no money. It was not sustainable. Did not know how to make a sale or close a sale, rather. So once again, I did not know how I freaking survived those 9 months going back, it was probably side hustles and borrowing, but rent was fucking me up the ass, man. I swear to God, I don't know how I did it, but I was able to do it. But the story that I'm going to share for you and your listeners is this. So right now, I want to mainly answer how I overcame failure.
Mm-hmm.
So the short answer is it takes a lot of grit to overcome failure. You really got to have a no nonsense, no bullshit, don't quit attitude.
Yeah, man.
Because failure, what most people don't know, or rather not don't know, but what most people seem ignorant to, is that failure is a part of life.
Exactly.
That is a part of daily life. And life, by default, it's fucking difficult. So you can expect to fail all the time. And right now, a lot of people, entrepreneurs, especially entrepreneurs, freelancers, professionals, they tend to deflect failure. They don't want it. You know what I mean? They
don't even want to talk about it, bro.
Exactly. Seriously. Yeah.
Seriously.
Some of them even identify with it too much. Failure. What do I mean by that? It means it becomes a comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
So perhaps some people get so used to failing that I'm cool with this. You know, it sounds like the cognitive dissonance is crazy. Okay, whatever, right? But I was in that state. I was in that mode before that 9 months where I had no sale. Okay, and it came to a point where I was living in my condo in Pasig, and so I was running out of money, right? So what I would do is I would gather plastic bottles and whatever the fuck I could gather from the garbage chute from all 10 floors. So our condo it's a low rise, so the highest floor is the 10th floor. So I would go around each floor, the garbage chute, have a huge bag, and just put bottles and plastics. And then the following morning, before I go to work, I would go to the junk shop with my man Edgar. That guy helped me out so much. And then he would pay, for sure, man. Shout out to Edgar at Edgar's Junk Shop, Pasig City. That motherfucker would buy this garbage. And he would give me, sometimes he would, give me a little bit more. I told him my situation. And that money I would use as my allowance to go to work in my office in Ortigas. So it was that crazy. And it even came to a point where fucking garbage ran out. Motherfucking garbage ran out. No plastics, no bottles. It just ran out, man. So I was like, what am I gonna do? Okay, now I lost that source of income where I make for my travel allowance, right? So what I did was, okay, can I sleep in my office? Okay, I'll sleep in my office. And at the time where I decided to sleep in my office, I had a looming electricity bill for I think it was $2,000, $2,500, because it hadn't been paid for 3 months. So, yeah, man, I was in the brink of getting cut off. But I had that amount. In my wallet. I was like, okay, do I choose to pay for my electricity bill, or do I use the money that I have to sleep in my office and stay there? So at least I'm in my office and, use the money for food, whatever the hell. So for context, my diet, for your listeners out there, man, how crazy this shit is. My diet was 15 pesos only. What is 15 pesos in dollars, bro? What is that? Like a quarter?
It's less than a quarter, baby, bro.
Something like that, a few cents, man. So my order was half rice and half vegetables. It's 15 pesos, and I would eat once a day. that's some hardcore shit, man. So that's what I was
indeed
doing.
hardcore shit.
Yeah, man. So, but I didn't quit. I did not quit. I didn't quit. I refused to quit. Fuck, man. The mindset was just unbeatable. Refused to quit, no matter what the fuck. I refused to quit. So, fast forward a few more weeks. So I was sleeping in my office. Fun trivia. So you would have asked, how do I sustain some of the things, so how do I sustain my personal needs? Like, for example, taking a fucking shower. How do you take a shower in your office? So my office, the bathroom was outside of my office. It was a public bathroom. And what I had to do was I had to wake up 4 a.m. every morning, because since it's a public bathroom, after like 4:30 or 5 a.m., people will start coming in. And why I didn't want that to happen was because I had to take a shower. So how did I take a fucking shower? I got the bidet from the fucking toilet seat and took a goddamn shower, right? Soap and all. Okay, obviously, man, gotta stay clean while you're in that gritty mode, man. You gotta stay fucking clean. You know what I mean?
Crazy shit you've been.
Yeah, man. And finally, I had a little bit of money for marketing. So I was a guerrilla marketer, dude. I had printed a tarpaulin with the sign of my franchise there. Yeah. And I was like, obviously, because I couldn't afford social media marketing or Facebook ads. Didn't have any money for that shit. Had no credit cards for that shit. So printed a tarpaulin, guerrilla style, did it old school. And there was this area near my office that had a lot of street vendors when street vendors were still available in Ortigas. So, and there was this one vendor that sold fish balls. So it was really good, man. A lot of people at lunchtime, professionals in the nearby vicinity, would visit that particular vendor. So I talked to the lovely lady. Shout out to her. All right, Nanay Fishball is what I call her, or in English is Mama Fishball. Unfortunately, I didn't get her name. I should have got her fucking name. But yeah, so to Mama Fishball, talked to her. I was like, hey, is it okay if I could tie my tarpaulin up in front of your vendor? And she was like, sure, as long as you keep buying from me. So yeah, obviously I'm keep buying. Yeah, no brainer, like, okay, man. For sure, man, all good. And then a few days later, unbelievable what happened. A few days later, some dude walks in. He was a executive type, suit, tie, walks in, and I was like, "Are you lost?" I was not used to getting fucking customers coming in, man. So I was like, "What are you doing here, man? Are you lost?" I'd like to tell you we're closed, but it's early in the afternoon. Yeah, and I was sleeping in my office. So I was wearing fucking shorts, t-shirt, whatever, right? So and then he was like, "No, I'm here to inquire." I was like, what? Okay. You're here to fucking inquire? I was like, obviously I didn't say it like that, but okay. I was like, oh, I'm sorry, I had to stay here overnight. Can you give me 5 minutes to throw something on, and I'll get right back to you? I'm surprised that motherfucker didn't leave, man. If I walked in a store, homeboy was wearing shorts and a t-shirt, and then asked me to wait 5 minutes so he could throw some clothes on, I would have left that dude. But he stayed. I mean, he didn't stay. He just, kindly stepped outside and waited 5 minutes. So I was like, okay, put some pants on, put some shoes on, throw some wax on my hair, powder everywhere to, fix my shit a little bit. Yeah. And then finally, I was like, okay, you can come in now. I'm so sorry. I apologize. I had slept in my office the night before. And all that. So I just made up some bullshit, man. I've been sleeping there for a long time. So, it was crazy. And then he was like, okay, so I have this I have this project at work that requires me to speak in front. And I think I'm an introvert. I get nervous when I speak in front. It's really nerve-wracking for me, and I don't know what to do. And I saw your tarpaulin at a vendor where I eat at lunch every day. And so your office is just right there. Okay, let me visit. And I'm like, and that just blew my mind, man. So long story short, I was able to close that sale.
Nice.
Thankfully, I was able to pay for some bills. Was able to go home, eat a proper meal, and yeah, man, things just started picking up from there.
Nice.
And then finally, what I want to leave listeners with from this long ass story.
And remember, bro, we're just right at question number 1. And I can't cut you off, man, because your story is so freaking powerful, man.
Oh, for sure.
So powerful that I don't want to leave a single detail about it.
I just wanted to give you as is, dude. You know, this might even trump the entire conversation. Like, this story can be like your whole episode already.
I don't fucking mind, man. I don't fucking mind. These are real bombs that we're throwing at you. So
for sure, I love it. It's just a story, dude. But someone on LinkedIn was like, and this is for your listeners out there, for you as well. She was like, you can't hire to be someone that you already are. So in my LinkedIn profile before, you know how you can edit your header?
Yeah, true.
You know, you can edit your header, put whatever you want in there and shit. So I was like, aspiring public speaker, aspiring motivator. And then that sweet lady, I forget her name, but it's been such a while. What really resonated with me was her message. And she was like, Alex, you can't aspire to be someone you already are. You already are a speaker in your own right. You already are a motivator in your own right. You gotta believe in your story. And I used to be so insecure telling this story. I would never tell this fucking story, man. I would tell some sugar-coated positive bullshit that no one can relate to. But then finally, after reading that message from that lovely lady, yeah, you know, I'm already a public speaker. I already have my message, which is my story. Every bottle or piece of plastic that I sold to my man, every time I had to eat 15 peso meals, all of that is part of your story, and just tell it in such a way where it's empowering. Why am I trying to be someone that
like this fucking discussion that we're talking right now? Your story is so compelling that I couldn't help but let you speak the way you want to speak it, man. Because again, dude, I mean, I've been from the bottom, man. Like, what you've been through, someone totally resonates to me. And that's what I am loving it. I'm loving every single bit of information you've thrown at me so far, man. And dude, that is such a great epitome of how to overcome a fucking big failure ever.
Yeah, thank you, man. So I hope I was able to answer that question, dog. I hope I was able to answer that question.
It's even more than that, man. It's apart from you answering it, you've given a lot of valuable tips and insights that people can really take away from this shit. I mean,
I told you it was going to be personal. Man. So yeah, if there's the one greatest lesson that I picked up from that, you can't aspire to be something you already are. If your listeners are out there, you want to be a freelancer, you want to be an entrepreneur, you want to get promoted in your corporate job, or you want to transition from corporate to entrepreneurship, whatever it is you're aiming for.
Yeah.
Trust that you are already in that process. It's not a point A, point B thing. It's just one thing, and you're just already there, making yourself better every day. You can't aspire to be someone that you already are. You're already great. You're already awesome. Just step into that. Step into that greatness. Step into that awesomeness. And tell your story fucking well. I promise you. Tell your story well, no matter what it is, no matter what you have been through, how shitty you think it is, how insecure you think it makes you feel. I promise you, if you tell that and you tell it well, people will be compelled in such a way where people will look at you like, you know what? I can reach you. I can reach you, man. You're reachable to me. You know why? Because some speakers are out there with all the letters in their fucking names, with all the experience under their belt and all that. And telling the audience to do this, do that, do this, do that, do this, do that, if you want to be successful. And the audience will be like, okay, I don't think I can do that. I don't have a full BA. I don't think I can do that. I wasn't given 3 million pesos from my parents. You know what I mean? I don't think I can do that. I don't, I'm not A class. But if you can tell your story in such a way where it relates to people, where you level with people, the way that I just had told mine, you're there. You're there.
Couldn't agree more.
Oh, yeah. There you go, man.
Again, nothing but the man we're talking to right now, Alex Pedron. Powerful story, man. It's very compelling that it literally has moved me. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people and a lot of, my listeners and audience would be able to take something from this episode. But man, with all the accomplishment you've had, and of course, the people that you've helped already, and the challenges that you took, which you've already explained to us somehow, what is probably one experience, bro? If you can probably cite one, give me one experience that you can never forget that made you realize that, hey, I need to do this shit right now. I need to change.
When I got my first testimony, so I was coaching a client on stress management. This particular client had some issues at work, some issues with presentation and public speaking that caused her to feel a lot of stress, and this particular stress was very paralyzing to her. So I worked with her a few sessions a week, a few times a week, until finally we ended the program, or she had graduated. And then I think it was not even 1 week later, she had sent me a message on Facebook telling me everything that I learned from you shaped my entire career. I'll never forget you.
Damn.
I'll never forget you. It was really short, but reading it helped me to realize, or further reinforce, rather, why I do what I do. And at that moment, my mission changed from enabling progress for others for about their stress and adversity and all that. It changed from enabling progress for professionals, business owners around the world, because I didn't want to just talk. I then didn't just want to talk about stress or adversity. Yeah, it's something it's my niche. It's something I'm good at. Yeah. But I want to now just help people however way I can. I wanted to broaden that niche. Just helping people. I just want to help people, man. That's it. I just want to enable progress, professionals, business owners. I just want to help you. What do you need help with? How can I help you? Is there something that you have, a room for improvement that you feel I can add value to? So there's a little bit of a consultation going on with that as well. So that moment was like, I can never forget it, because I was now that time I literally can see myself doing this fucking forever, man.
Yeah, real.
I cannot see myself not doing it.
I mean, the message was so short, but it's so moving, man. And even myself, when I've heard it, it could really motivate you as a motivator yourself.
Yeah, I'll never forget. You shaped my career. I'll never forget you.
It's really moving.
So, that also gave me a lot more accountability, a lot more responsibility for my voice. that means that whatever I fucking say, I gotta be careful with what I say, man. Because it shapes people.
Exactly.
For better or for worse.
And you are in the industry, and definitely, you know, whatever you say publicly or even through social media, people would take so much, you know, into it with how you are, you know, telling it the way you do. But bro, I mean, with you know all the things that you were able to, you know, achieve and accomplish, man, what other stuff that you are looking to achieve right now? I mean, you are a motivational speaker yourself. You run your own company, your businesses. What are you looking forward to do? Maybe let's say this 2022 or 2021, maybe.
2021 got a lot of shit going on. 2021, my fiance and I are gonna take the big leap. We're gonna uproot and move to New York. So that's what I'm looking forward to. Yeah, we're gonna move to New York, man. We're gonna move to New York. It's gonna be crazy in the middle of a pandemic. But we were like, okay, you know, I want to move to New York. I want to become an international speaker. I'm glad that you're here to support me. I feel like I can do it in New York because originally I grew up in New York.
You grew up in New York? Oh, literally, where in New York, bro?
I grew up in Queens, Jackson Heights.
The place.
I grew up in Queens, New York. Yeah.
Dude,
so
I want to tell you a little story, bro.
For sure.
You know, I don't know if you noticed, but you know, I'm literally living a hip hop lifestyle all my life, bro. All my life.
Okay.
And my dream ever is to always dream to go to New York. You know,
are you wearing a New York T-shirt? Is that a fucking New York T-shirt? Yeah, there we go.
Represent.
Yeah, man. So my family is from New York, and I stayed there for quite some time when I was young, and moved to the Philippines. I think when I turned 18. I moved to the Philippines. I'm 31 now, so I've been here since. And I'm like, you know what? It's about time that I expand. So the mission is enabling progress for professionals and business owners around the world. So I gotta go to a place where I feel like it's the fucking hub of the world.
It is. It is.
You know what I mean? People might disagree with me, but a lot of people out there can also say New York City, that's the best city in the world, man. If you can make it there, you can make it anywhere. You know what I mean? So cue in Alicia Keys on that shit. But you know what I mean? So I'm like, this is a test to myself. Okay, I killed it here, and I'm killing it here. I want to kill it in New York. I want to dominate New York. I know that when I'm able to do that, of course, with my fiance at my side, without her, none of this shit would be possible. Just putting it out there. Get a good girl or a good significant other by your side. For the listeners out there, you need a number one fan. You need a supporter. May that number one fan or supporter be your significant other, whoever they may be. Hopefully, they support you, whatever ambition you got. Because I can talk the way I talk now. I'm able to express myself the way I express myself now because of my woman. That's what's up right there. Just
shout out to M. Shout out to M.
Shout out to M. All good to her, you know. Man. We're looking at moving to New York.
Moving to New York is such for me. I totally support you with that, man. I think that's the way to go. If you're looking to expand, you know, and dominate the field that you're into, man. And if, you know, you got M, man, that's your fiance there. And definitely she is supporting you all throughout. And if that's the case, man, you got to go for it.
Absolutely. It would be an original fucking sin to not go for it. You know what I mean? I feel there's something drawing me. I can't even explain it, man. A lot of your listeners know what I mean. If you're an entrepreneur, you're a freelancer, that one thing that's just drawing you there. I think I used the words internal GPS earlier.
Yep.
If you've got that fucking blinking in you, it's an original sin to not follow that. I promise you, because that will haunt you for the rest of your days.
Yeah,
Absolutely,
I agree.
man.
I
Go
agree,
for
man.
it.
And dude, I mean, speaking about M, since we've already talked about her already, M, if you're listening, shout out to you again once again. Maybe let's try and transition talk about your podcast, man. Stories after swipe right. I heard a story from M. I want to hear your side of the table, man. What up with it? Because I know originally you never ever even imagined yourself having to run a podcast show, right?
No way.
So tell me your story behind it, bro. What motivated you? What made you say yes to M and pull this thing off?
Absolutely. So I want to build off from what you said, where never had I imagined myself having my own podcast, let alone a podcast where the co-host is my fiance. That's some crazy fucking imagination, man. Never did I have that shit out. I was very, very much comfortable and learning a lot from my current industry, which is public speaking, which in 2020 became virtual speaking, and all that. But when I met my fiance last year, she had that goal. She had to go, you know what, I've always wanted to start a podcast, not specifically on relationships and dating, but something along the lines of love, you know. And the thing is, we met on an online dating app. So we met on OkCupid. I'm just going to put it out there. Shout out to freaking OkCupid. You guys are the best. They will feature us soon, by the way. So, dream come true. Yeah, man. So we met on OkCupid. Long story short, got together, moved in with each other, then got engaged. But before we got engaged, she was like, I really want to start a podcast. I mean, the things that we have in common, we're both trainers, we're both speakers.
Yeah.
We sound pretty fucking sexy, over that mic. So, can you help me? And I obviously have no experience in podcasts, but what I do have experience in, other than public speaking, is building businesses.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be your CEO, baby. I'm going to be your chief of operations. I'm going to build this from the ground up. You handle all the technical stuff. You handle all the stuff that I'm not totally, when it comes to podcast tech, I know jack shit. Nothing when it comes to podcasts. When it comes to the theme, the overall theme of what we're going to talk about, and it was all M, but I did contribute in building it. Yeah. Because one of the mistakes that I think a lot of podcasters make out there is they too much like a passion project and not enough business.
Yes.
Obviously, we would like to monetize our podcast, right? When money's involved, then it's the business. So you not just become a podcaster, you become an entrepreneur. So with that in mind, I was able to contribute. And then finally, what we did was we tried some sample clips from M's iPhone, and we just started, she pressed record, and we just started fucking talking. And it was good. We watched it, rewatched it again, and a lot of laughs. And then finally, we decided on the niche of relationships and online dating specifically, because online dating is a little bit taboo here in the Philippines.
True, man.
And since M and I have our own testimonial. I mean, we met on OkCupid. We're fucking engaged now. We felt like this is something that we could really expound on with passion, with love. That doesn't sound too corporate-y. You know what I mean? So we were going for that persona, and I think we launched. Was it September last year or October last year? Around that time, our pilot episode on how the dating game changed in the new normal. It was received very well, so that encouraged us even more. Okay, I guess people love the branding of our relationship, where we had this banter where we didn't always agree with each other.
Yeah.
Sometimes we'd fight during we're not technically fight, but subtly fight during the episodes. It was just raw. We were just pouring our heart and soul. This is what online dating really is. This is what you can expect. This is what we did. This is what relationships are. This is what we did. This is what we are doing. We're not going to talk about marriage yet. Obviously, we're not married yet. Once we tie that knot, then we'll talk about marriage.
We'll talk about that.
You know what I mean? But yeah. So long story short, right now, Stories After Swipe Right is number 5 trend on Spotify. So, whoa! I was like, it's nothing but up from here. Excuse the pun. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's a little bit about Stories After Swipe Right for the listeners out there. If you would like to know more stories after Swipe Right, you could visit podcast.storiesafterswiperight.com or visit us on Facebook or Spotify simply at Stories After Swipe Right. There's a lot of really intimate, funny, cool things that will inform, involve, and absolutely inspire you. Whether you're single, an online dating app user, or in a relationship, or are married, we cover all of that. I reckon it's going to be fun to listen to. So hopefully we could catch you guys there as well.
Guys, definitely catch them up. Anyway, I'll be dropping links on this episode once again, just to get get things going. People in my audience will be able to check you out. And dude, myself and my wife here are big fans of yours, man.
Thank you.
This is not this is not bullshit talk I'm talking about. Just so you know, I'm very picky when it comes to podcasts, although I've been a podcast addict since 2012.
Oh, yeah.
Myself.
Wow.
I drive my car. Yeah, since 2012, man. Been producing podcasts way before, with That's clients awesome, that I do work online. So pretty much familiar with all the stuff that we're cooking and stuff like that. But man, share this podcast you guys have with my wife. Seen actually episode 1 of season 2, and hearing your voices, how you communicate. It was really fun, especially the washing dishes part. So
yeah, man. Oh shit. Yeah, but it's a really good episode. We don't front. We just tell it as it is. We're not gonna lie. You know what I mean? It's what happened, and we're not afraid to put that out there. Yeah, we say it in such a way where it's not painful to hear. That's what's important.
Correct. I think that's a good term you use there, man. That's a good term you use there. But dude, I mean, there's tons of real life experiences that people could really relate, and I think one thing which is cool about your podcast, bro, is that people in the Philippines, I mean specifically in our country, are so not used to hearing the word online dating, and it kind of like getting the bad rap out of it, especially here from where I'm at in the province I'm living, especially in a province setup like ours. So it's fairly brand new. And, when I did try and introduce your stuff over to my audience and kind of like, talk to a couple of friends I have over here, they were kind of like blown by how you guys met, how you were able to, become fiance in a matter of how many months. So it was cool. It was cool. And, I wouldn't hesitate even promoting your stuff to the network I have, man. All props.
Likewise, brother.
All props.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. Likewise. Our mission for Stories After Swipe Right, part of our mission, rather, we just want to normalize online dating. Whenever you think about online dating, the association is negative. It sucks, and people don't believe in it. So we want to disrupt that. We want to disrupt that thought pattern. We want to disrupt that comfort zone where people think that online dating doesn't work. And on top of that, we also want to, talk about how you can have a healthier and more intimate relationship as well with your significant other. So we want to extend it to that. Of course, we don't want to talk about online dating forever, because Emma and I are no longer online dating. You know what I mean? So our podcast is kind of created as well. Yeah. So from online dating to season 2 relationships. So there you go.
Awesome stuff, man. Awesome stuff, dude. it's been a good an hour over hanging out with you, man. And I think, bro, we should probably try and extend this a little more and even probably run another episode with you in the future. Because I really fucking enjoyed talking with you, man. Fucking enjoyed hanging out with you, you know.
Sure.
And when this pandemic is over, I would probably hang out with you guys in Manila. You know, I would love that. I would love that to happen.
Or we could go where you're at. Just be well, hopefully you could still catch us, man, because we're leaving for the USA September 29 this year.
Shit, fuck, really now.
We'll see, man. We'll see.
We'll see. I mean, I know that the vaccines are kind of like being rolled out, you know, right now. Hopefully, that would kind of like, you know, balance how we travel. This is the number one, you know, obstacle everybody's facing. You know, last year, man, I've been traveling like crazy. Every week, I go to Manila for an entire year. Actually, moving back and forth, Cebu, Manila. You know, the entire year. It was crazy. And then suddenly this pandemic hit. And I was like, okay, now I'm stuck here at home.
Let's see, man. Let's see. Who knows? Who knows what
Who knows, man?
Is in store. But all I know, especially for us two, and of course, your listeners, I just want to reinforce it out there. Again, my final message before I go, it's choose your discomfort. Choose your discomfort. So what do I mean by that? Failure, it's uncomfortable. Success, it's uncomfortable. How many times, though, have you identified with failure more? How many times, though, have you chose to settle with failure? Story that I told earlier, no quitting fucking mentality. I guess call me stubborn as shit. Maybe I am, but it was just about being unbeatable. I refuse to let my own mindset and my own circumstances get the better of me. If you really want it, the universe, God, whatever higher power you believe in, it will test the shit out of that belief. Based on what you heard from my story, I was tested like crazy. But I'm here talking to you guys right now, and I'm telling you, choose your discomfort, choose success. You are actually in control of that. I promise you, if you choose success over failure every single day, you will get to the place that you deserve to be in. And I just want to say, we all deserve to be successful. So choose your discomfort.
Awesome. Again, powerful words, but no other than Alex Pedron in the house, y'all. In the house.
Yes,
again, buddy, so much appreciate you for such powerful story you shared and the words of wisdom that you shared over for my
appreciate
audience.
You, man. I appreciate your listeners too.
Dude, I hope you had fun hanging out with me today.
Absolutely. Let's do this again.
We need to do this again, man. We need to do this again. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying you, man. Awesome. All right, again, guys, it's been a phenomenal episode that we got going for you. Once again, this is Nothing But Up, the podcast, episode number 24, and I'll see you on our next episode. Peace, y'all.
I'm always flexing.
Thanks for tuning in. Download this episode and pass on the news. Hit like and subscribe. Watch out for our next episode coming out next.